Well, hello, Smite fans, and welcome back to one more set of the Smite Challenger Circuit for the North American scene. Yet again, we did just watch one high-octane match between the Arsons and the Sharks. Now, we're going to bring it home with the Winter Dogs and Sleekness for our third and final set of the day. I'm J-Mac. Joining me for this set is going to be Aggro, talking a little bit more about the NASCC. If you didn't get enough of them, trust me, it's not slowing down anytime soon. Let's take a look at the schedule to see anything that you may have missed so far this week, as we have been seeing a lot of action so far just today, but there's still plenty more to go. Just F6 and Snake Hunters, Goodnight Nick, and Team Joystick will be our Friday and Sunday EU matches. For today, as highlighted, will be Sleekness and Winter Dogs, and Herculean Hoops and Average Joes will be taking place on Saturday. And those matches we saw earlier today, the 2-0 by Elysium and then the 2-1 by the Sturdy Artisans, shake up the standings just a little bit as we hop right into those for the North American side to see where everybody falls in line and kind of see where some of that shake-up potential could lie. The Winter Dogs need just one more win to guarantee their first seed, though we could see some potential shake-up if they do drop this match today against Sleekness.
Yeah, I mean, these are critical games, J-Mac, because there's only 1 week left in the SCC. So you've got a lot to play for. Sleekness really trying to keep their top 2 dreams alive. Winter Dogs trying to secure that top seed. If they can do that, then they can coast through the last week, not really worry about it. And later on this weekend, Herculean Hoofs trying to make sure that they can improve to 6-3 and put themselves in a great spot to qualify.
And Herculean Hoofs, with their fall last week, makes it a little bit more difficult for them to get that top seed. It is really just relying on the Winter Dogs falling today, and I believe it's to the exact same team that beat them last time around. So maybe we'll see a little bit of a rise here in Sleekness. Let's talk about them a little bit, because this team seemed like it was going to be one of those just around their middle-of-the-pack teams, and they are. They are still sitting around that middle of the pack. But when you're able to take 2 straight games off a team like the Herculean Hooves, former Baskin and the boys, it's something you got to talk about a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a team that you can't underestimate by any stretch. I mean, you look at their talent, proven talent, I should say, in comparison to teams like Winter Dogs or like the Hoofs, then of course you're going to feel like those more experienced teams are going to come out on top. But I think there's a lot to be said about these teams that are really hungry to improve and prove themselves as teammates and as individuals, and I think that's what this Sleekness team really reminds me of. I mean, Quig's been around for a long time now. He's got to start to really step up the pace and can't afford to be in these middling teams anymore, so I think that he's stepping his game up. Oath has been around a little bit, Chronic, Nehu, Dude Man Bro. I mean, these are names that if you're watching high-end ranked streams in North America, you're going to see a lot of these names pretty often, so it doesn't surprise me that they're starting to see some success.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is probably Dude Man Bro's first actual competitive season that he's played. If I'm not mistaken, unless there was another name that he went by that I don't recall.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Dude Man Bro's been around forever, and it's just one of those players that if you told me he was on 4 SCC teams before this, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And if you told me this was his first one, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's just a name that's been around for a while.
And as you highlighted before, he's got some strong players around him: Quig, Neu, Oath, and Chronic. Oath in the jungle has really been surprising me with some of the picks he's been able to come out with, the performance he's having. They're going up against the Winter Dogs, the #1 seed, and this is a team that everybody has their eyes on. Wowie, Gamma, Benny Q, Kierme, and Aquarius, very seasoned players, some former SPL talent among this team, and then just some long-standing players in the competitive scene.
Yeah, I mean, this duo lane change-up has been huge for them. I mean, getting Wowie in this ADC role has been really big for this squad. I think he's brought a lot to this team. You look at the change-up in mid as well. I mean, this is a team that was successful with a couple of different iterations, but really couldn't seem to put it together. They've had their good weeks, and sometimes Ananster would pop off, sometimes Krim would pop off, but they just didn't have a lot of consistency on their team, and I never would have thought that Benny Q would be the one to bring consistency, but credit to him, he really has. I think that he's played really, really well. I've been very impressed with his transition into the mid lane. Kierme in the jungle has looked very good. I mean, this team has just been playing good Smite. That's all there is to it. And when you're playing good Smite, you're going to win the vast majority of the time, unless you're really getting out-drafted. That's really the only chance that you've got to lose, and that has not been the case for the Winter Dogs. I think they've got a pretty solid grasp of what they want to be playing and what the meta is. So until I'm proven otherwise, this is a team to beat in the North American SCC.
I mean, talk about an improvement. They go from 4th seed, 3-7 last phase to now being the #1, almost undefeated. We'll see if maybe things change up for them in the drafts, as you were talking about just a little bit ago. See where everything falls in place. For my money's worth, Tiamat's just got to go. We've seen it already twice today Tiamat quadra kills? Yeah,
Yep.
no. Get rid of this god. She might just be kind of good, and then top that all off with an SPL quadra kill we had at the end of last week. Yeah, I don't want to see this god anymore.
Yeah, I think it's probably time. You know, we did our experimentation. Still turns out to be pretty good. Maybe she needs some more thought process in the picks against her. Maybe you can try and handle it, but it just has proven too difficult for a lot of teams. So probably safe to just ban it.
The Morgan and Kuzenbo, the first god's taken by the Winter Dogs, and it's Raijin on the other side of the board for Sleekness. So maybe trying to just take some immediate shots at mid lane here with 2 mages already banned. Tiamat hopefully sure to be banned away. Maybe we'll bank on it for a third ban. Khepri has been one of those guardians who has been rising up a little bit more recently. I know in the SPL he's become almost a first pick, first ban for so many teams, and now we're seeing that kind of translate over here into the SCC.
And the Geb alongside it, I mean, those are picks that have looked really, really popular recently in the support role. Kuzenbo's been a bit more of a specialist selection. You know, Neil is going to be going for it pretty often, but against most teams, you don't have to worry about it too much. Seems like they're putting some respect to Quig's Kuzenbo, and that is a pick that he likes very much, so no real surprise to see it banned.
No Tiamat ban instead of Chimoja, but not a Tiamat first pick for Winter Dog. Odin seems to be a little bit heavier of the priority. Archeo, namely, still available. Tiamat still available, so there's still some of those top picks. The Geb, Sylvanas, who's even kind of risen a little bit in popularity, is all available. And an Izanami first pick. Not what I would have expected.
No, not what I would have expected either. That is a bit surprising to me. I mean, this is a pick that is good, but with the build changes, that isn't exactly the direction I would expect. This is also not the direction I would expect, is Persephone as a top 2 pick. Her win rate's absurd. I mean, 86%, that's what, 6 out of 7 games she's played, she's won. I just don't think she's that good. Benny Q is a good Persephone player, and so is Nehu, so it feels like a pick, a ban via picking it. But I just don't think she is scary enough to warrant a top 2, especially not when you've got picks like Artio and Geb and Uller still available, but the Winter Dog's not going in any of those directions either, so maybe the Sleekness is going to get their chance to take them anyways.
Okay, so Hell and Cerberus after the Izanami Persephone, which was already kind of a questionable top 2. Then we completely forgot that Hell was left open the whole time. Cerberus makes it through. So you take pretty much both of Hell's primary counter picks for yourself, so now you have a ton of safety with Hell. Odin, now we kind of wonder, is this going to be going over as a support role because the Cerberus has been locked in, or is the Cerberus going to go support and leave the Odin solo to fight off against this Nike, who still, I guess, has some of that jungle flexibility? But I don't understand, not just the Tiamat. Somehow Tiamat got completely grazed over by both teams, maybe a gentleman's agreement. Hey, you don't pick Tiamat, I won't pick Tiamat. How did Artio make it all the way here?
I mean, Odin is a matchup that she doesn't really want to play against that often, just too easy for her to get caged. Now, Odin doesn't really want to play against her either because it's very easy for him to get crippled, and then Bird Bomb doesn't really work. But Nike has just been so dominant in this North American SCC. I mean, 18 games played, nearly 80% win rate. That is an obscenely high win rate for that many games played. It's just a bit of a different meta down here.
I guess it's just different, man. I got used to and accustomed to seeing what the EU boys love to grab in those first sets. I get to NA, and it's a completely different ball game. The last 4 bans, all assassins, and that leaves the Susano on the side of Sleekness. Gilgamesh, who kind of has been, I'm not going to say forgotten about. You know, it's the new assassin meta, so everybody's still jumping in, getting back and used to playing these really more glass cannon style assassins, but Gilgamesh still kind of sitting around there. Occasionally teams have been picking him up, not super often and definitely not nearly as early in the drafts as he used to be.
No, not the premier jungler anymore, but still very solid. And when you need some CC, and I do think the Winter Dogs needed a little bit more guaranteed crowd control on their team, the Gilgamesh can provide that very easily. We've seen the Odin cage plus the Gilgamesh cage give a lot of players a lot of trouble, so I like that. But I like this Serket pickup here from Sleekness because they needed mobility in order to counteract what we see from the Winter Dogs. They need the ability to get out of these cages, not just the leaps to get out of the Odin cages, but even a dash will do to get you out of that Gilgamesh cage. So I think that the Serket pick, I mean, you look down the board for the Sleekness roster, they've got a ton of movement available to them. Susano and Serket being 2 of the more mobile characters in the game, leaps on the other 3. They've got ways to get out of these cages, but I'm a little worried about how well they'll be able to synergize all this together. You know, can they actually put together a cohesive team fight lock down this hell first and foremost and get past this pretty staunch front line from the Winter Dogs.
Sleekness want to try and put a stop to Winter Dogs' winning streak. Can they do so here? Let's hop into game number 1 between Winter Dogs and Sleekness just to find out and see where it all lines out. It will be the Circuit support because that Susano was locked in. That will only be going over towards the jungle. I don't think we'll see Susano flex anywhere else anytime soon. I don't know why I'm even thinking. I'm just like imagining seeing like I've seen Tsukuyomi go solo, so maybe my thought process is like, oh, another assassin that could go solo. But I don't
We've
think
seen it.
We have we seen it?
We have. Haddox plays it a little bit. Solar Patrol plays it a little bit. Those two really like
they like
Susano
those weirder,
solo.
They like those weirder picks in solo. They love those assassin solos. Maybe there's a chance that we will get to see it again sometime soon. But going in through this, I'm kind of looking down the roll, and they've drafted 4 physicals with only one really true dedicated tank for the side of Sleekness Winter Dogs. It seems like they can just build a decent amount of physical defense, and Hell's a god who really does like physical defense. You can build a Breastplate of Valor or a Mantle of Discord and be nice and happy in that mid lane.
Yeah, interesting that Bandiq is actually going to be rushing Warlock Staff in this game, focused on trying to get that survivability going. And he could be in danger early. I mean, Susano actually pretty good at getting these kills early on in the game. His level 2 fight isn't horrible, but Benny smartly giving up pressure over there.
Yeah, he'll be stuck under the tier 1 tower where Gamma and Wowie are trying to get some pressure here in dual lane, but it's all Dude Man and Quig. This Circuit now level 2 has access to either Ambush or Cobra's Kiss if they want to go for CC or just for some extra safety. But now with Kirmi here, Benny Q can step up to the wave just a little bit farther, but because he went for that tier 2 Warlocks, he has basically no mana sustains. He's going to be going back to base very often early on.
Yeah, none. So it's pretty critical that that Ku goes their way, and Aquarius makes sure that it does. So really good. That's it's kind of a meme like, oh, my soul laner needs to get me Ku, but for a start like this, it actually is really, really important that you prioritize getting that Totem of Ku over contesting the next wave as a solo laner, and Aqua's on the ball for it.
See, we have the luxury of the spectator to we know how many Totem of Kus are going, one team or the other's way. Good thing there probably isn't one in game, because I imagine there'd be some very upset mid laners of their solo laners not picking up that Totem of Ku for them very often. You get to the end of the game, and luckily you also can't see that sad. Be like, man, how'd you only get 2 Totem of Kus and they got 7?
Yeah, no, that's the big difference maker. Trust me, if I'm losing Ku, I'm losing the game. It's that simple. So as far as I'm concerned, my solo laner has all control over whether or not I'm doing well.
Benny Q. He'll be just fine here in mid. He'll get a little bit of poke against Nehu, but Nehu also has some self-sustain via those plants. And we've been seeing a lot more Persephone after her rework as far as the SCC goes. SPL, we've only seen her, I think, maybe twice, if my memory serves right. But these guys here in NA, especially these mid laners, they really love going to this pick.
They do. It's like I said, Benny Q's very comfortable on it. Nehu's very comfortable on it. It's good. I don't know. It's just that I just never feel like I'm putting out enough significant damage. My damage numbers are high.
Benny in danger. Cobra's Kiss. He'll be able to get away with some healing. Not quite enough damage yet to kill the mid laner. Nehu wasn't available for the full commit, but Benny does feel the wrath of this support.
That's what the Circuit is designed to do, put a little pressure, but now it's Oath.
Oath going to go through and won't get the pull, but he'll have more than enough damage. Nehu strikes first blood for Sleekness. Kirmi a little bit late on that rotation. Everybody piling on this mid lane hell.
Exactly what you're supposed to do. Don't let her get a free laning phase. Make sure you keep her down, but it's really not even that bad for Benny. The worst part is that he lost his beads there, which was a pretty good reaction to the Wind Siphon. Nearly was able to survive because of it, but even though he dies and loses beads, he gets Warlocks done at the exact right time. He has enough gold. It's the worst scenario when you're like 100 gold short and you have to go out, you have to leave your fountain, you have to go out, but then you're going to have to reset right away in order to get your stacking done. If there's a time to die for first blood, it's probably right as you have enough gold for your stacking items, so not so bad.
Then you're kind of going through that mental block of, okay, should I just pick up like a starter item so that way I don't just sit here with 1,200 or whatever gold in my pocket, that way I can get something for the bag? Do I just kind of bite the bullet and go out there and get that extra 100 gold? But luckily for Benny Q, it will be good timing. He'll already get his stacks started up, 6 stacks. The exact at the moment. When I say that, he goes over 7, and a leap in from Quig, gets the beads from Wowie, and a quick Bifrost gets him out of danger. Quig, again, trying to establish some pressure for one of his carries, this time over in dual lane.
No one showed up on a ward, but they don't have any defensive wards there for the Winter Dogs on their duo side. Oath could have very easily walked around Gold Fury Pit and then come in around Purple Buff and that would have required a beads usage from Wowie. So good aggressive play from Quig, and it looks like a weird beads because no one else was coming, and certainly with Quig at level 4, there was an actual kill threat onto Wowie, but because of their lack of vision, they have to respect that initiation a bit more.
Kirmi will go for the Jotun's Wrath, so he'll get a little bit of extra CDR on this Gilgamesh. Same with Oath on the opposite side. He'll pick up a Jotun's Wrath. It seems to be kind of the staple item and the staple start really out of these junglers. Get your Bumba's Dagger, get a little bit of cooldown reduction, or get a little bit of extra power via the way of the Crusher that we got to see in the last game. But name of the game has just been start kind of just building out this mace tree.
Very cheap to start it off, and that's oftentimes the most important thing for early items is how fast can I get it, and how impactful will it be when I do get it. And for Jotun's Wrath, getting flat pen, a good amount of power, and 20% CDR for a really, really cheap cost means it's going to be rushed by a lot of different roles, not just in the jungle, but a lot of times in ADC as well. Though not this game. No Bumba starts in ADC. It's Hunters into Hunter's Cowl into an Ichaival for Wowie, and it devours gauntlets for Dude Man.
Benny Q under fire under the tower. He'll be able to walk away for now, but a triple ultimate on the mid laner locks him down and puts him in his place. A heavy commitment from Sleekness comes up favorable. They put the mid laner down again.
And that's what's going to continue to happen to him. And immediately Benny goes back and buys Breastplate 2. He's going full Paul with the build. The early Breastplate, the Warlock Staff for survivability. It's going to be all about absorbing this pressure from Sleekness and trying to make it work. Love the pickup from Gamma as well. He goes Sovereignty first item against this quad physical. That's the right call.
Quig gets thrown through the realms, and Wowie will be able to get out for now, but he's still looking to potentially box against Dude Man. He'll win the better end of that trade and at least walk away. Did have to use the ultimate bead. Still down for 20 seconds, so he's not too worried if they decide to make a re-engage, especially with Kirmi waiting in the waters through on this left side of the jungle, looking for a red buff invade, but a little too slow to get there.
And Gamma has not really been able to make an impact quite yet on this Odin. I mean, the Sovereignty pickup is very smart and is going to be there for protection, but kind of want a little bit more out of your Odin in the early stages. I mean, to be 7 minutes in, we haven't seen a cage. I don't think that he's done a whole lot of player damage yet either. That's not exactly what you're looking for.
Well, there's that cage you were looking for. Gamma goes in to try and get the stun against Nehu. Will get a lot of damage, and Kirmi jumps in with a cage of his own. The Wind of Shamash take him down, but it's a trade out, a 1-for-1, as Quig picks up Kirmi on the tail end of the fight.
Yeah, not a bad trade there for the Winter Dogs. I mean, you get the cage down, you get Gamma a stack of power from the passive, and you're able to get Kirmi at least a kill before he ends up falling, and you shut down Nehu, who was off to a really good start in this game, plus get his ultimate, which I can't believe was already back.
Benny Q, once again, the target of the aggression from these assassins. That's another double ult to take out the mid laner. Gamma will just have to watch as both of the assassins walk away with yet another pick. And you said it perfectly. This is just going to be the life of this hell until that defense comes online, until Gamma can really kind of just be sitting by his side the entire time.
Exactly. And now if you're Wowie, I think that you've got to look at this game as, okay, I've got to win it. Because if Benny is going to continue to get this much pressure, and he will, throughout the entirety of the game, by nature of his pick, you've got to have your ADC really do a lot whenever they start to free cast. You know, I think that it's really important to have, whenever you have a Hell, it's not just about the Hell. You have to pick another backliner that's capable of either hard peeling or hard carrying. And Heimdall does both of those pretty well. You know, Heim, I think, has some of the better peel as an ADC between the slow and the knockback on the Gallarhorn, and then of course through the realms, you know, you can use that to get Quig off of Benny Q pretty quickly, or potentially Oath even as he doesn't have beads. But also has the capability to just do too much whenever he's left unchecked. Wowie's going to have a big game in order to punish Sleekness for this all-in commit onto Benny Q.
Benny Q is braver than I. I'm 3 deaths down on a Hell. I'm the focal target. I'm not going to be stepping out to the tower line, but maybe having Kirmi and Gamma next to him is enough to give him a little bit of inspiration to be able to walk forward. It'll be the Oracle Harpies going for Winter Dog, so he'll have some vision control on that Gold Fury should they decide to try and make a leap over towards it. But 1,000 gold in the lead for Sleekness, which is surprising considering they've gotten these 4 kills, but haven't been getting very much off the tail end of each of those kills.
Exactly. It's often been picks onto Benny Q underneath the Tier 1 tower, and then we walk away. And we're not getting a whole lot for it. Not a whole lot they could have been getting either. You know, I don't think it's them making massive misplays. It's just been the timings of these. But now that Gold Fury's up, it's time to think about how much they are investing. Before, when you're not going to be going for anything afterwards, you can dump 3-4 ultimates into this Persephone or into this Hell rather, and not really stress about how much it costs you. Now that if you're going to be going for a follow-up Gold Fury, we got to try and maximize and be efficient on how many ultimates we're using. You know, can we get it done with just Last Breath, or is just Typhoon going to be enough in order to secure it for us?
One of those, maximize your damage without using your maximum damage, usually via the ultimate being your hardest hitting one. It'll be a mid camp, go in the way of Winter Dogs. While we will continue to farm up in this lane. He's going up against a kind of a weird, a Devourer's Gauntlet Izanami, not something we see too often. Quig goes in for the ultimate of the Bifrost. We'll make sure that he gets out thanks to the help of those beads to get him away, and that's an ult down for Quig. And Wowie, once again, the target of that ult, he has to use his beads.
Yeah, Blink ultimate that time from Quig. So that if I'm Benny Q, I'm stoked, because now I've got a minute 20 where I don't have to worry about, or 2 minutes rather, 120 seconds until I have to worry about Quig blinking on me. And I've got a little bit less time to not worry about it, but still some significant time to not stress too much about Last Breath either. So that's a small win for the Winter Dogs. Even though Wowie uses the beads, I don't know that Sleekness is going to be looking to punish him that hard, because Hell has been such a primary focus for them.
Even being the target of so much of this focus, Benny Q is only about a half level down. Nayu hasn't been able to get too much experience to try and pull ahead. Hasn't been able to get too much gold to pull ahead either. We're still sitting around that 1K gold mark and with no objectives taken. In fact, that right side Scorpion at the Fire Giant pit hasn't even been looked at by either of these teams. And with the experience passing back and forth around 1,000 in favor of Sleekness so far, essentially dead even game here at 11 minutes. Over to the red buff. Kira will make sure Benny Q gets a little bit of extra damage with that buff. Make sure he can get that experience and try and stay relevant this mid game. Now this Breastplate of Valor is finished up. He'll have a little bit of extra defense. Most importantly though, some extra MP5 and cooldown reduction. Exactly.
A lot of mana for him, so he's going to be able to spam pretty well. Interesting that he goes Conduit Gem there. He bought it when he was still on Silver Breastplate because he died for his third death when he had, I'd assume, about 900 gold. Doesn't want to just wait on the breastplate, so he gets a little bit more mana sustain. And now we know which starter, he's going to have to upgrade. It's going to, I'd assume, it's going to be a Conduit Gem for him whenever he gets to level 20. An item that I really like on Hell, because you're constantly casting abilities. You're able to keep that stacked up, get yourself some extra mitigation, some movement speed, and some percent power. All those things feel very, very good. So I like the Conduit Gem pickup in general, and don't have a problem with him getting the first part of it a little bit earlier.
And Kirmi will solo out the Scorpion on the bottom side. That'll enhance the buffs on this left side of the map for Winter Dogs. And with the Oracle Harpies going to Sleekness this time, Winter Dogs have to be on top of making sure that they have some kind of vision on that side. And you do see 2 blue wards right at the top of the entrance to the Gold Fury pit, so they'll know is Sleekness make a rotation over. We'll see if those get sentry warded away. So far, no sentries in the pockets of any of the Sleekness members. It's only a single regular ward for Chronic. And on the other side, Kirmi does have a sentry, and then a couple of wards spread throughout the rest of the Winter Dogs. Chronic going to go for a little back Harpy invade, and does manage to take away 1, but now he's staring down the barrel of 3. Gamma is here. His leap is down. Stun will be immuned out by Chronic, and now they got to chew through the health shield of this Nike. They've done so successfully so far, but can they get the follow-up damage? Ultimate from Aquarius will be immuned out by the Ren. Chronic is trying to run through. Nayu picks up 1 kill. Chronic under the tower. Gamma chasing them, gets the stun with the spear, but is it enough damage? The heal from Benny trying to keep them alive. Chronic will live, but not much longer. Benny Q picks him up under the tower, but that sets up for the Gold Fury for Sleekness.
Finally, the Winter Dogs are able to kill Chronic, but it takes them a literal eternity to do so. And Sleekness not only get the Gold Fury, but a pick on the Kirmi at the exact same time. Didn't use any relics for him in the mid lane, so I wonder if that was before he had backed to buy his beads and maybe just got CC'd by Quig and Oath and Nehu. Looks like all 3 of them use their ultimates to find him.
And we do get a look back at the kill that happened in mid lane, which seems to be just fairly standard. You throw him right into the damage, Nehu goes in with the ult, and you get a nice little pick for it. So that'll be 5 kills on the board for Sleekness after that, 2 for the Winter Dogs. Gold lead getting closer towards that 2,000 mark, about 1,500 or so in their favor, especially after taking out that Gold Fury on that left-hand side. So you send 3-4 over to right. It's the tried and true classic. You send too many people right side, leave open the left side of the map, and that'll be a Gold Fury for Sleekness.
No real surprise either, because I don't think the Winter Dogs are really invested in trying to defend early golds with their composition. I mean, Benny Q just got bullied a little bit too much early. They know that they're much stronger as they group for 5-on-5s. There isn't a Phantom on the side of Sleekness, which doesn't really surprise me because of how many leaps they have, but it does mean that Gamma has opportunities to find some really team fight turning cages. So they want to group up anyways.
Benny Q walks forward. He'll get away from a little bit of damage. The cage is through, but it won't stop Chronic from continuing forward. Aegis immunes the Typhoon. Chronic is still chasing, but Benny gets back to Aquarius, gets a nice heal. And the mid laner will live. Now it's Chronic on the backside of the fight, but we saw what happened last time, how long it took to kill that solo laner.
Really good use of his relics, and Kirmi drops the ultimate. We're trying to defend this tier 1, and it will do the job. Benny Q's still here, nice and healthy now after all the healing. And the tier 1 still stands for the Winter Dogs. A good attempt by Sleekness to get the pick onto Benny, but his relic usage was too good.
And once again, Benny Q the target. Quig pulls him and throws him right into a Persephone ultimate, but Nayu in the backline is the one in danger. Chronic will be sent through the realms to try and peel for one. Oath finds Kirmi in the backside. Aquarius leaps in. Chronic was not able to secure the kill against Benny, but Sleekness do get one for their trouble.
Kirmi just going a little bit too deep there all by himself. This Gilgamesh has not looked particularly good. Dude Man Bro is really able to put that damage out quickly. Nehu alongside. And if Gamma's trying to peel a little bit, if Aqua's unable to find these big stuns, then it's going to be hard for Kirmi to continue to dive in like that.
Quig wants to get into this Pyromancer, and so does Chronic and Oath. Oath will blink in, get the pull against Benny Q. Pyromancer still through, and Sleekness steal it away. Oath now on the run, but the cage comes down from Gamma, and that might just seal his doom. Quadra Typhoon is good, but not good enough. Wowie able to pick up a kill and finally get the Winter Dogs back on the board.
A big one, too, because Oath was starting to get a little bit too far ahead in the jungle, though he still is up quite a bit over Kirmi on this Gilgamesh, who just continues to fall behind. This Susano makes a big play, gets in there. I don't know if he was the one who stole Pyromancer, but he certainly distracted the Winter Dogs away from securing a guarantee.
Wowie is again going with this build. He did it last week, and he's doing it again. Another sovereignty on his Hunter. Just to recognize that, hey, if Gamma's going to the front line, I've got the back line. So, well, I guess I'll get my own solve, get my own kind of physical defense.
Yeah, you know, I don't absolutely hate it. But the problem is what I was talking about earlier, that Wowie has to do like all the damage in this game, right? Because Benny Q is just going to be on the run all game. So it doesn't really facilitate Wowie doing damage. The way that we'll be able to tell if this sovereignty pickup was worth it or not is if Benny Q can live on low HP totals, stay in the fight, and then be able to heal back up and sustain. You know, if that sovereignty aura makes the difference for Benny Q when Gamma isn't around, then it will have been worth the pickup. But if Benny Q's going to die anyways, and then Wowie's in these 1v3 scenarios where he gets everyone low but not quite low enough, you know, you're just kind of starved for item slots right now among every role. It's a big reason why this boots removal was so exciting was because you have a starter item, that's taking up a slot. And then you had boots, that was taking up a slot, and so you really only had 4 item slots to play with at any given game. Now you get 5, but you only get 5. Like, I feel like there's so many items I want.
Oh, wow, we're going to use his beads again. It seems every time that Quig shows his head in this left lane, it's an immediate beads by Wowie and an immediate Bifrost to get out of danger. That'll be on cooldown, both the Relic and the Bifrost, for a decent amount of time. Aquarius and Gamma trying to step forward, but there's 4 members of Sleekness here trying to defend against this Oni Fury that is going to respawn here in just a moment. But it's all 5 members of the Winter Dogs here, and now Dude Man rotating over, and Oath making his way in. It'll be a full 5v5 to get set up for this Fury. Dude Man is the first target. Aquarius is going to find him with the Petrify, and immediately he is the target of aggression. Cage comes through. Dude Man is still living out. Gamma's the one who's low. Typhoon takes him down. Aquarius gets 1, but it's a 1-for-1 so far through the realms expended. But everybody's getting low. Wowie and Quig in the midst of it, and Nayu takes him down. That's going to be 3 members very low from Sleekness, but they're going to be able to get out, trading it a 2-for-1.
Man, I can't believe that fight doesn't go better for the Winter Dogs. I mean, Dude Man Bro is just in an awful position in that fight. It was a great stun from Aqua to set that fight up. I mean, they've got the CC on him. They blow both his relics. They get him in that Odin cage. and then he just lives and lives and lives. And it's not like he's getting a whole lot of sustain from anything on their team. There's no healing. There's no shielding. It's that they just don't have the damage numbers to bring him down quickly enough. And that makes a big difference because Benny Q gets picked in the back line. He instantly dies. And then Wowie has to step up in order to try and get this kill onto this Izanami because that's so important for this team fight. And then that leaves him in a horrible position after using both of his relics in duo lane.
And he steps up in the middle of the magic damage dealer, the sole magic damage dealer of that team, the one he's trying to chase out. And that sovereignty's not going to help you against the mage.
No.
Nehu able to put him down. Nehu living for so long, too. He got down to very low health, good relic usage. Make sure that he lives for such a long time during those fights. Just overall, a better team synergy in that fight from Sleekness than Winter Dogs.
Yeah, Winter Dogs have not looked like the 7-1 team so far, I would say. I think that they've just been very disoriented. They haven't really been the initiators in any given fight except for that last one, and it still didn't go particularly well for them. So it's certainly a bit of a cause for concern. However, if we're looking at the silver lining now for the Winter Dogs, as much momentum as it's felt like Sleekness have over them, Sleekness is only up by a little bit. They're only up like 2,000 gold and some good XP in mid, but not the end of the world for Benny Q. He can still certainly be impactful on this Hell. And it only takes once to win a team fight with a Hell and then win the game off of it because she just punishes those mistakes so much harder than most other mages because of all the sustain. All sustained characters punish mistakes harder because your margin for error becomes much wider. You know, normally when you'd have to back, can't do that objective even though we won a team fight we shouldn't have. All of a sudden now you get to stay and do it because you have that healing. So Winter Dog's still in striking distance, no doubt about it.
And all that healing or all that lead that they've built in the mid lane for Sleekness where they had that level and a half or so, it's kind of mitigated by the fact that Aquarius is sitting 2 levels up over his opposition. Now Wowie is still a level up, and even Gamma has been able to build a level. So while the gold is marginally in favor of Sleekness, about 2,000 gold, the experience seems to be veering a little bit more towards the Winter Dogs' favor. Once again, the Winter Dogs looking to set up around this Gold Fury, try and force another fight with Sleekness. Now that the relics are down for Dude Man, maybe they have a better opportunity to kill him, but they still have a few key relics down. Benny Q's speed's down for another 25 seconds. Wowie's Aegis will be coming back up for this fight.
Yeah, this is a fight that the Winter Dogs should be taking for sure. I mean, both backliners with no relics whatsoever. This is one that Sleekness either has to give up or has to play very, very slowly. And it's more the latter. They're doing well at not allowing the Winter Dogs to be super aggressive right away. But this is another problem with this sovereignty is that Wowie can't just sit on the objective with someone else and threaten DPS on it and do a lot of damage really quickly. The Sleekness knows that they can just wait because he's not going to do that much.
Quig looping around the back, but it's Kirmi initiating first on Doomman and Nehu. He's starting to get chunked out. Quig will get stunned instantly as soon as he walks up to the enemy team. It'll be a quick retreat from the Winter Dogs, and the path cut off by Quig. Now Chronic has to leap under the Tier 1 tower, and the healing and sustain out of the Winter Dogs, keeping them nice and topped up. Gamma loses a bit of health, but he's going to gain all back. Shield effectively negated there by the damage from Nehu, but they've still got this Hell. They'll still make sure to stay nice and healthy.
Very healthy, and Nehu's already used his ultimate. Now it does come back pretty quickly with that Chronos Pendant, but still not having that Persephone ult is going to be a big key in this coming team fight.
Tier 1 tower down. Oath on the far side of the map looking to maybe make his way over. Gold Fury, or should I say Oni Fury, is here, and it'll be an immediate start up by the Winter Dogs. Maybe it is just a bait. Quig again, wrapping around the bottom of the fight, looking for a pick, but he's been spotted out on the ward placed by Winter Dogs. Sleekness trying to find a path in, or maybe it's just Winter Dogs looking to go in. Dude Man immediately picked up, and he has to use his beads and loses out on half of his health. Quig pushed against the wall by Kirmi. Quig trying to find his way out, but now he's stuck inside the cage. The Gamma's dropped down. A retreat from the Winter Dogs is now Chronic at the front line. He'll be pushed back. An ultimate from Nehu holds Aquarius in his place, but Aquarius will be able to leap out after some CC immunity comes through.
Benny in some trouble, pulled back by Oath, but still healthy enough and has his relic. Sleekness trying to go in.
Oath trying to get something. Nehu picks up one. Chronic leaping forward, but it's only Benny Q at the front line. Benny Q low on health, low on mana. It'll be a quick retreat from the Winter Dogs with a big pick by Oath, able to at least strike one against the Dogs.
Man, Oath did so much damage after he TP'd in right there. That was crazy. Look at the damage numbers from Nehu as well. 18,000 on this Persephone. That is an obscene number, doubling really the next closest almost. but still, it hasn't always felt super effective. That's what I was talking about with Persephone earlier. It just doesn't always feel like those damage numbers come to pass, but they have in this game. He's been doing a lot.
Been by Quig, and Aquarius trying to steal away this Oni Fury. Goes in with the ultimate, finds Dude Man, stuns him, and the Ghastly Breath almost takes him down. The Aegis lets him live for only a moment longer before the basic attack picks him off. Aquarius hit by the last breath poison, but it's Quig hit by the damage from Gamma. Now Nehu's the one in danger. A leap in and an ultimate from the mid laner. Make sure to lock down Gamma, but Wowie is here to cut down the cage and to cut down Nehu.
Finds him with the last auto, and Chronic has already used the leap, but he has the ultimate available. Good chase from the front line of the Winter Dogs. Gamma finds the nice cage. Aqua continues to do a ton on this Cerberus. He initiated that fight from the very beginning by going in on Nehu and Dude Man Bro, got Dude Man Bro's beads, then waited until his ultimate was back up, and where was he going? Dude Man Bro again. So the Izanami really just got soloed by back-to-back ultimates from this Cerberus that really set him up for Aqua to do the work.
Oni Fury taken by the Winter Dogs, and now for the first time this game, they have, well, I can't really call it much of a lead. 100 gold at this stage is absolutely nothing, but now with the Pyromancer and Fire Giant up, Winter Dogs can start setting their sights toward this right side objective. Pyromancer will be the first one they target, and they'll take it down to add a little bit more gold to their pockets, but now with Benny Q finally able to live through some of these fights, makes it a little bit nicer for the Winter Dogs. Wowie still a little bit lacking on the DPS because he has that sovereignty, but able to at least get some decent damage. And a lot of it just comes up to these frontliners, man. Gamma and Aquarius, they're just bullying the carries on Sleekness.
They're doing a really good job. And on the other side, the Sleekness is doing much of the same, right? I mean, Quig is doing good work on this Circuit, still trying to be that annoyance factor for the Winter Dogs backline, but now the damage is going to start falling off for this Circuit. It's not going to be nearly as lethal. Chronic's damage is going to fall off a little bit. He has not gone any offensive items at all. It's been all defense for him in comparison to Relentless One's Nike build that was going that Jotun's Wrath first.
Now setting up around the Fire Giant, Winter Dogs have some of the ward control. At least they have ward control of the pit. But the rest of the map, Sleekness have this Fire Giant surrounded by wards to make sure they can catch anybody who might be slipping around. Aquarius at the front line pushing Chronic and Quig back, but it's a bait at the Fire Giant, maybe looking for some damage against this frontliner. Chronic taking a lot, but Kirmi taking a lot more damage. Oath doing all of that right back to him, and a leap in from Chronic and Quig, targeting out Kirmi. Kirmi is just trying to find an escape path, but he'll pop right in the middle of all of them. Benny Q cannot save his life, and maybe can't even save his own. Wowie is here to try and help him out. A quick cleanse comes out. Wowie turning some of the damage around. He's living through these fights, and so is Benny Q. Now turning it back around. Chronic low, but Oath able to grab one. Will Oath be able to make it out? Too slippery for this Cerberus to grab him. Oath does get out.
Nehu is doing too much damage right now. 25k nearly for the Persephone until he's finally locked down by Gamma and Aquarius. That time it was Kirmi just again too far forward on this Gilgamesh. It just continues to be a bit of a struggle for the Winter Dogs jungler to make an impact that is not immediately answered by Sleekness, whereas Oath is really towing that line very effectively as that mobile assassin, going in, pulling out, just going in and out of these team fights. It makes it hard to lock him down, and then he's bringing this really good CC on top of that. A really nicely placed Typhoon was able to knock up Kirmi, secure that kill, and do damage to Benny Q and WoW.
At the end of the day, it's Sleekness who are a little bit healthier to try and go for this Fire Giant. The crits from Dude Man starting to shred this objective. Gamma and Aquarius are here, and Aquarius and Gamma will both dive into backline. Double ult through, Sleekness secure the Fire Giant, but they're so low inside this cage. Oath especially, he'll be able to dash away, but Kirmi is here, and he punts him against the wall. A big pickup for the Winter Dog, and still looking for more. Quig is not out just yet. Ambush over the wall will make sure to get him away, but it's 3 members still with the Fire Giant for Sleekness.
Man, got a little hairy there for a minute, but Sleekness do manage to secure that Fire Giant. Bumba's Spear, extra damage, helping Oath out in order to make sure it goes their way. But losing Oath is a key member for Sleekness, and that will open up the Winter Dogs to at least get this tier 2. Are they really going to go for Phoenix against 4 members with Fire? This would be shocking, especially with Benny Q not having any relics.
Gamma low in health, low in mana. He's going to try and be the front line. Kirmi goes in, but it's
Nice
an ultimate
ult.
from the back from Nehu that catches one. Instantly, the cage has been broken, and Chronic is drop kicked against the wall. Sleekness are able to push Winter Dogs away and maybe even continue going for this chase. The 5 men of Winter Dogs not very healthy. Quig leaps in, Looking for the CC. He'll find Wowie with the ultimate immediate beads. Wowie gonna try and turn the fight back around. The cage is good, but not enough. Quick picks up Kirmi. Aquarius going in for the ult. Finds Dude Man again and throws him right into the clutches of the carries, and they'll take him down.
Finally, Dude Man Bro falls, and now Quig looking to be the next one out. I mean, has the mobility potentially, but needs those cooldowns to come back up.
Aquarius blinks in, goes for the breath. The spit just too short of a distance. He'll leap back towards Benny and Wowie. Weren't expecting to jump back in. Maybe not expecting Oath to be back. Typhoon comes through, finds Benny and Wowie, but not much damage further beyond for Sleekness. They're still looking for this push forward. Gamma's been sitting on basically no mana ever since they left that Phoenix. And they may be able to just make it back to that tier 2 and live through.
But now it's a couple of relics down again for the Winter Dogs. I mean, Wowie uses his beads, Benny Q uses his. Those are important cooldowns that the Winter Dogs lost by going for a Phoenix that I think was ambitious as kind, to talk about how they could have potentially gotten that one. They do get Dude Man Bro and his Aegis at the very least, but other than that, I don't think Sleekness really expends that much in order to send Winter Dogs packing. The good news is that Winter Dogs did waste a lot of Sleekness' Fire Giant. That's maybe the best news of it all, is that now there's only, what, a minute 30 left on this FG, and there's still 4 towers on the Winter Dog side of the map. So Sleekness isn't going to be able to do a lot. They won't have time to get all of these towers, I don't think.
Uh-oh, Gamma may have just stepped a little too far for her, caught inside the grasp of death and maybe taken out. Or maybe it's Aquarius for the rescue. He gets a triple ult, but only picks up 2. Cage wears off, and Sleekness get their 1 pick. But that 1 pick, again, is just delaying their time on this Fire Giant. Now only a minute left, and instead of going for towers, now they're looking for this Primal Fury.
You know, they're setting up picks that they don't really need. You know, they need to focus a little bit more on these objectives. And they get the Primal Fury, and they'll get this tier 1 and left, and likely a tier 2, but outside of that, I mean, that's just not enough to secure the game from the position that they were in, where they had this opportunity to really turn up the Jets and put the pressure on the Winter Dogs' face.
40 seconds left to try and take some of these towers out. Winter Dogs will respond by going for a Pyromancer of their own. So 1 tier 1 and most likely a tier 2, but Winter Dogs, how much more can they grab after this? They'll net 2,000 gold, at least by taking these towers. They lose a little bit from the Pyromancer. Quig, he's walking forward. The rest of his team maybe a little bit more scattered in thought as far as where they want to go. They won't go towards the Phoenix. Only 20 seconds left on FG buff. Most likely not going to get too much more from here, especially with minions pushed so far up in mid lane. Not really an opportunity to take that tier 2.
Now, I mean, now we're basically in a position where this game is even. I mean, 3,000 gold at 31 minutes is nothing. You've got 5 upgraded starters for the Winter Dogs. I imagine you've got 5 for Sleekness as they're finishing off some key items. Rod of Tahuti included for Nehu, which is spooky to think about. A guy who's doing 30,000 player damage already, finishing off a Rod of Tahuti. So all 10 players have their starters upgraded. Nearly everybody full build anyways. Both teams have exposed Phoenixes. I mean, this is a anyone's game. One team fight from here should secure you the victory.
You know, 1 enhanced Fire Giant should be all that you need, depending, I guess, maybe on how many are still living after that enhanced Fire Giant fight. And the only one who hasn't really finished their build-up here would be the supports. They're still waiting to kind of finish their last items. And even Benny Q, who's been buying items, selling items, buying items, selling items. He had a cloak in place of that tier 2 book, but looks like he sold that, said, the extra defense probably ain't going to help me that much. Instead, he just likes to go for a little bit more power in this book, maybe looking towards getting that Soul Reaver online.
Yeah, I agree with his assessment that they need a little bit more damage in order to actually punish Sleekness. That's the thing about Hell, is that she does great damage to backliners, but sometimes it feels like you're not really doing that much to the front line.
Gamma walks forward, and he'll be met with Chronic. And this enhanced Fire Giant has respawned, and so now that will be the primary target for both of these teams and could be the game-ending push for either of these teams should they be able to take that objective and keep their carry alive. Probably the big kind of point with that is, yes, enhanced Fire Giant, you get it, you probably win. As long as your carry is still alive after, then you can start pushing some of these towers down, pushing some of these Phoenixes, but neither team wanting to step too far forward, especially not Benny Q or Wowie with the damage that Oath has been able to put out on those 2 carries specifically. They're sitting very far back in this fight.
And this is where the slight gold lead that isn't really a true lead for Sleekness can actually matter a little bit, is that they've just had more wards throughout the game, and they've been able to get the vision advantage around this Fire Giant. You know, Winter Dogs have their side of the map warded well. They've got a bunch of positions that they can't be seen on, but it's Sleekness with actual vision of the fire pit, and so they're the ones with the natural advantage.
Kirmi goes in looking at Quig and Oath, but he won't find anything after the leap. The drop kick just a little too far off the mark, and Oath sitting there with that bubble will make sure that even if the drop kick does connect, he can at least get away from that. And again, the team's starting to go for a reset, but a few members of Sleekness went all the way back to base. Everybody from Winter Dog's still here, but they don't have any vision on that top side of the Fire Giant pit or in the Fire Giant pit, so they're not even aware that these players went back to base.
No, but Wowie has the one at least, so he can use it to make sure that they aren't actually doing the Fire Giant. That's why you keep seeing him toss it up, make sure they aren't on fire, and they back up a little bit, wait for the Heimdall cooldown to come back up, and Sleekness certainly doesn't have the DPS in order to threaten doing the Fire Giant in between uses of that Heimdall one, so that they don't have to worry too much about it. They can afford to play it nice and patiently here.
Now it is just the frontliners missing their final item. Benny Q went back and got his Soul Reaver. Dude Man Bro backed and finished up his dominance, so now he has a little bit of extra penetration in those autos. Benny Q gets spotted out by both the assassins, and that should be the life for the mid laner. He will pop under the mid lane tier 2, but Oath not going to be able to save Neu because he's so far back inside of his jungle. Neu goes down. Gamma gets the credit for the kill. Chronic is low, but so is Aquarius and Gamma. All these frontliners for Winter Dog's low. Kirmi, he's going to go back to base, and now it's only going to be 3 here at the Fire Giant.
Wow, this is a risky call, though, from Winter Dogs. I mean, look at this perfect angle that Oath has in order to get into the backline.
Gamma so low. Not sure how much longer he was willing to commit to tanking that. He'll try and walk away. Quick goes in, gets the taunt just on Aquarius. Gamma throws up the shield. And now with Oath here, could start to threaten these backliners. He'll pull in Aquarius, and the damage is good enough. Oath pops him as well, and now it's Gamma on the run. He'll leap away. Wow, he taunted right back in, and he'll try and throw some return fire back at him. And now that Kirmi has come back, he'll at least pick up one, taking out Chronic.
Big kill there for the Winter Dogs. They get the Soul Laner out, and Quig should be able to escape as the Circuit, and he will. But man, I mean, to lose your hell and then win the team fight afterwards is absolutely massive for the Winter Dogs, and they are in good position. I mean, Wowie's still up and alive. Dude Man Bro just now on the respawn.
Kirmi and Wowie, the only ones here at this enhanced Fire Giant. They're taking it decently fast. The leap in from Kirmi gives them a little bit of extra lifesteal under here, but with Oath and Quig, it's most likely to spell doom for both of them. Typhoon slams through one. Wowie at least immunes the damage from it. The Fire Giant still being held on to. Quig is here. He'll walk through the ring, and Gamma will make sure to escort him back to his side of the map. But another one down on Winter Dogs.
Yeah, not a big fan of that call there, J-Mac. I mean, you know that Sleekness is coming back from base. You know you don't have great DPS. You've gone the pen attack speed build that doesn't do a ton of damage to these objectives. Plus, you have a sovereignty instead of a damage item, so you're going to be that much slower. It was ambitious, to say the least, there from the Winter Dogs, and they really get punished for it pretty easily there by Sleekness. And now, Wowie doesn't have his Aegis, and even though he's got sovereignty, Oath's at the position in his build where he's threatening to one-shot with a full combo.
I thought he sold his sovereignty for the Wind Demon. No, he sells the Iqbal for a Wind Demon instead. So he'll finally get a little bit of crit on his board. He's got a Kin Size as his final item. Now it's again starting up the Fire Giant. Gamma gets tossed back in and hit with the ultimate, but he's got a lot of health to go through. Wowie low. Wowie hit it by the Typhoon one more time, and Wowie able to make his way out, but Benny Q is now stuck in the middle of the frontliners. He'll cleanse himself out and run as fast as he can, but he'll get yanked right back in by Oath. Another pick for the jungler. 8-2 now. Gamma trying to find a path out. He'll throw up the shield, and that will be enough. Winter Dogs again lose out on their mid laner.
Man, I mean, Sleekness, I think, did not have a very good start to that fight because they use a lot on Gamma. They use Nehu and Quig's ultimates on the full build Odin that is pure tank, and they still manage to win the fight because Benny Q just cannot live in the backline up against this dive from Sleekness. They're just too mobile in order to get there. And Aqua's doing such good work in this game, man. I mean, he is making sure that Dude Man Bro is constantly very low on relics, very low on HP, but just has been unable to get these kills outright.
This Fire Giant already well under half health. Aquarius is going to try and stop them. He'll go in with an ultimate, find Oath, and throw him right back down into the pit, but the Fire Giant is still up, still active, and taken by Sleekness. They'll grab Aquarius for their troubles. So with all 5 members of Fire Giant, Sleekness can now start surging forward to take the last of what's on the map. 1 tier 2 and 3 Phoenixes are all that's left standing before the throne.
And the one that's giving them the most trouble is Aquarius, and he's dead for 50. So you've got to make this count. You know, I don't mind this call to go for this Oni Fury, but at the same time, it's 5v4. We have Enhanced Fire Giant. Maybe that could have been mid-Phoenix and then back up to the Oni Fury. Because now by the time they get on these Phoenixes, Aquarius is going to be just a few seconds away from respawning.
30 seconds on the solo laner. There is a minion wave right at the front gate here. That way they can try and push this up as quickly as possible. One more should spawn to try and slow them down for only a moment. But Sleekness now with all 4 on this left side, and Oath in the mid lane just to deal with Gamma. They'll be able to push right into the Phoenix and burn it down without any hesitation. 1 Phoenix down, 2 to go, and a tier 2 tower on that right-hand side. Minions pushed decently far back here in the mid lane, but now I believe that was just a regular Oni wave that spawned on that left side. Don't think those ones ended up being fire.
No, not quite yet. So that's at least a positive for the Winter Dogs. The Sleekness feinted a back, but have not backed quite yet, hoping that the Winter Dogs come out to try and farm their jungle.
Gamma will spot out Quig as he opens the door and walks into the jungle, but Sleekness are just interested in making sure they can strip away the jungle and maybe push up mid. I say that, but now they got 2 people backing again, delaying how long they utilize the Spire. Right side minions, they'll finally be able to start pushing up towards the tier 2 tower, but overall, Winter Dogs only losing out on one Phoenix so far.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, it is their far side Phoenix, but it's a lot of time wasted from Sleekness on the CFG, and we saw how quickly and with 0 contest they got that left side Phoenix. I think they probably could have gone mid to left, to Oni Fury, to backing, and then be ready to go with multiple fire waves and Oni waves coming, but the Oni Fury ends up not amounting to too much for Sleekness, and now they've only got 1:50 on this EFG.
You can see everybody from Winter Dogs starting to group up towards this right side, and that's where the tier 2 still stands. Dude Man will be able to shred through that one like paper and make quick work of the tower. Now, the right side Phoenix could be the contest. Actually, they're okay, so he stopped. I was like, man, he's really not doing a whole lot of damage. He stopped his damage against there, maybe allowing some extra time for those left minions to push forward. They got a second fire wave about to meet up with the current one, and that could start spelling some disaster on this left side.
It's not great wave clear for the Winter Dogs either. I mean, Hell doesn't really deal with these fire waves that well in comparison to some mid-mages that would be at this point in their build otherwise.
Jeremy is the one who gets sent over to deal with these double minion waves, and that allows Quig to go in aggressive. Aquarius leaps in the back looking for anybody, but he's only going to grab Neu. Dude Man leaped away just in time. The cage doesn't manage to hold anybody in place. Instead, it might be Gamma the one in danger. Right side Phoenix goes down. Sleekness gets another pick with Through the Realms expended. Its only Kirimi's ult left on the board. Yeah,
just this dive is so well organized for Sleekness. I mean, even though I think Quig has not found good targets with his ultimate. His last 2 were on Gamma and Aquarius. That's not exactly the targets you want to be hitting. You just are able to let Oath then go in, and then that baits Relics, and then Chronic goes in, and then that baits Relics. And Winter Dogs just aren't doing enough damage to threaten this dive. Their win condition is really hope that our backline lives, hope our front line kills their backline and then can turn and help us. But that really just hasn't happened quite yet. It's required multiple dives from the Winter Dogs, namely from Aquarius, to get that done. And you don't have multiple dives in you when the game is 3K potted out. Your margin for error gets a lot smaller. So at least you've got 1 Phoenix still up. To have 1 after an EFG like Sleekness had is a win in some ways for the Winter Dogs.
Gotta imagine the comms for Dude Man Bro. Bro, why are you throwing the Cerberus at me? He's been diving me alone. I don't need your help bringing him closer to the fight. Luckily for him, he holds on to both his beads and Aegis. He used that fade away to make sure to get away just in time after he got thrown in, so he didn't have to use any relics in the fight. 2 Phoenixes down, left one about to respawn, but wave is pushed so far up they might not be able to get any further pressure on it. Instead, it'll just be right back to the Pyromancer. Kind of passing up this 43-minute mark. The goal doesn't really matter for these teams. It's mostly just power potions or elixirs if they're grabbing them, but Winter Dogs going for a long flank here on this right side.
Long flank, but it's not a lot of them. It's only 3, and I'm worried that it might not be enough.
Well, Aquarius might just be getting caught. I used the ultimate preemptively to get away, but that ult's not going to save his life. They burned 3 ults to take down Aquarius. He's down for 70, but the rest of the Winter Dogs They're on this top side. Fire Giant has come crashing back down, but Sleekness
They saw
maybe sniffing him out here. Walked over a ward there, Gamma.
And they saw Kirby on the wave as well. Didn't get a chance to get it past him.
Kirby gonna try and stop Oath, but Oath will turn it around. The Typhoon puts him in the grave. Gamma trades out and gets one, but it's 2 for 1 already for Sleekness. Gamma, he'll use the shield to walk
Look
in.
at
Now
Dude Man,
under
bro.
siege, but it's Benny Q who's falling low. A stun from Quig. Dude Man Bro pushing up the right side, and it's Sleekness just holding off Winter Dog so they can try and go for the end for their Hunter.
Yeah, Dude Man Bro's got it, man. No way anyone's able to get back. A good idea from the Winter Dogs, but Sleekness just had good enough ward coverage to make sure they didn't get caught by it. Bit of bad timing there from Kirmi as well to get caught on that wave to make it that much easier to spot them out. It ends up being a victory for Sleekness, really shutting down this hell. I mean, Benny Q had the lowest player damage in the game after 45 plus minutes on the hell. I just think that the composition didn't really work that well together here for the Winter Dogs, and then their play also did not work that well together. And when you've got both of those things, it's going to be hard to win.
And then you saw that overly ambitious, super long flank that comes through, and not only does Kirmi get spotted, but Gamma walks right over a ward and thwarts all their plans. So no Fire Giant, no potential flank for them, and no win for the Winter Dogs. That one, we'll go over to Sleekness, and we're going to take it to a break, and then we'll come back to break down game number 1 and get set up for game 2.
I gave up dabbing for Lynn.
Cool. No more dabbing for final. He looked at me and said, I'm going to be on that stage next year. I'm going to become a world champion.
Well, the Smite Pro channels, we can get the behind the scenes if you want to see any of the action on the battleground itself, whether it be something from this past week, this past year, or any of the other years that we've had SPL, all the way, I think even dating back towards the launch tournament is how far some of these VODs go back. If you want to rewatch any of those moments, you can go over to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/SmiteVOD and catch up on any of those old memories that you may have forgotten about. I remember, I think launch tournament was probably one of the first things that ever really got me into Smite. So if you want something, or maybe you want to relive that first spark for yourself, go over to youtube.com/SmiteVOD and catch up on all that and see anything that you may have missed. Even in this last week, as a highlight, we put stuff up, I think within like 48 to 72 hours usually of things going up. So if you just missed out on the weekend, don't worry, wait a couple days. It should be right up there on youtube.com/SmiteVOD. Winter Dogs fall in game number 1 here up against Sleekness, a very long, drawn-out game, getting close to nearly that 50-minute mark, and a lot of it really felt like came off the back of not only Nehu's damage, but also Oath just being a menace on this Susano.
Exactly. The mid-jungle much, much better for Sleekness in this game than from the Winter Dogs. And that has not been the case for the vast majority of this year, as BennyQ and Kiermi have really played very well. But this Persephone ended up doing too much damage. I mean, 47k is an awful lot. You had Oath really darting in and out of these team fights as expected on the Susano, and BennyQ died a bunch early, and you thought, oh, okay, it'll get better for him. It's not going to be too bad forever. He's going to start healing. He's going to start doing a lot of damage. It didn't get a whole lot better. He continued to struggle in a lot of these engagements and find himself still under siege. Couldn't do enough to get away from Nehu basically ever. And the front line, I thought, from Sleekness was just better than the Winter Dogs, save for Aquarius, who was fantastic on this Cerberus, but just unable to do enough.
Okay, so 47,000 damage from the mid laner, nearly 35,000 from Oath in the jungle. Yeah, I think you may have highlighted that as just a jungle mid kind of, I'm not going to say jungle mid diff, but definitely a very high damage discrepancy between the two. 9-3 and 11 and 7-4, 10 for Oath and Nehu respectively. It'll put out quite a hefty chunk of damage. Really the control from Oath coming out so big for them. Even Quig, looking down at the numbers, you see 13,500. I mean, this is like almost a 50-minute game. That seems kind of low, but it is a tank circuit, so he's not going to have the highest damage, and a lot of it was single target focused, usually onto one person in particular early in BennyQ, and then late game, a lot of that focus came towards those frontliners trying to take down Aquarius and Gamma and really try and pick them apart.
Yeah, I mean, the difference in what we saw from Nehu's damage output to BennyQ's, and then even though, Wowie very much outdamaged Dude Man Bro, it just really doesn't end up mattering because he can't stay alive long enough in those fights in order to keep it going. So I'd expect some adjustments. I do not expect to see Hell for BennyQ again. Put him on a more traditional mage and let him go get to work.
The question is, will BennyQ pull the BennyQ special and go a Game 2 Anubis? Let's find out in picks and bans for game number 2. Though, usually he does do that if they won game 1, so maybe that's the stipulation. We'll see if it comes true here in game number 2. Expect to see maybe, I don't know, a lot of the same could just be done for Sleekness. The composition worked out fine pretty much at every stage of the game. Didn't really seem like they had a moment where they were really falling behind.
No, I mean, there's certainly a lot of potential now for both of these teams to learn from what they did in game number 1. If I'm Sleekness, I'm probably not top 2ing Izanami, even though we won, because Dude Man Bro did not end up doing a whole lot in that game, really thanks to Aquarius more than anything else, but I'm probably giving him something a little bit different. I'm definitely prioritizing that Persephone again, trying to take the Cerberus away potentially. I mean, the adjustments from the Winter Dogs are already there, making sure that 2 of these gods that gave him a lot of trouble last game aren't available.
Yeah, Serket and Persephone taken off the board by Winter Dogs, Yamoja, and Kepri on the other side for Sleekness, making sure to keep some of that front line. So they're just going right at the core 3 here. That mid 3v3 action of the Sleekness, just too much for the Winter Dogs. They're going to immediately ban that one out, and that leaves a ton of things open, especially with this Cthulhu ban from Sleekness. So many top pick priorities are up. The Ardeo, the Odin, namely for a couple of solo lane options. Cerberus is still available, and that will be the first pick here for the Winter Dogs, recognizing that they need Aquarius on something hefty in that front line.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with this. I mean, he played so well in the last game that it makes sense to me. Gamma had a bit of a slow start on the Odin, but I thought had a pretty good mid to late game, which is usually not where you see Odin do the majority of his heavy lifting, but that was the case for Gamma in this game. I like Sleekness taking it away from him, making sure that you make sure that he doesn't get that comfort pick once again. I am surprised by this Izanami, particularly in the face of a Cerberus pickup on the other side, because that was what really prevented Dude Man Bro from being effective in the last game. But, you know, there's something to be said for sticking to your prep and going with the plan that you set coming in. So, you know, we'll see if he can do better this time around.
Man, this is kind of a throwback counter pick. You know, when Odin was in his prime, we saw Wheelish usually come out to kind of counter that. You know, he wants to go in with the bird bomb or leap away as quick as possible. Yank him right back in with that gravity surge and then a Nike to boot. One of the most contested and one of the most winning gods in the North American SCC, as you saw 19 games and over a 70% win rate. It seems to be showing a lot of success with this god, and I'm kind of terrified with how successful this god has been, especially with the fact that, you know, the changes of Sunder really kind of hurt her whenever that kind of came around. It doesn't seem to be really bothering her that much now.
No, she's kind of chilling, still seeing a lot of success.
Vibing, man.
I wonder if it's going to be Nike's support, because Gamma is really known for playing warriors in support and being a little bit more aggressive, but with how well Aqua just played on the Cerberus, I'm hesitant to take it out of his hands, but Nike's certainly better in solo than in support, so we'll see. Not really sure where it's going.
So what we see is the Wheelish support, and then you throw Nike jungle. You get some really interesting stuff. Who was it? I think it was it Pagon who did the Wheelish support?
Yep, Pagon on the Wheelish support.
So maybe we see it again here. Maybe we see it by the Winter Dogs, but probably not, and it probably shouldn't happen. As far as the bans are concerned for Phase 2, is Cupid the direct shot there. Well, normally it's Dude Man Bro who would play it, but a shot at the enemy Hunter, and then a Ho Yi, and then you have a Kuzenbo and an Ares banned away by the Winter Dogs. And who gets left open all this time? We actually do surprisingly see her picked up. Artio locked in by Sleekness. Now that gives me a couple of questions as to where her and this Odin are going to be falling in place.
Yeah, it could be Odin. I'd assume this is Odin's support, because Quig also likes to play these very aggressive picks like Ares, like Kuzenbo, like Serket. Odin kind of fits that bill, so I'd assume that it's going to be Odin's support. Artio in the solo lane up against this Nike. But you get Rom Tiamat on the bottom end. I mean, you're feeling awfully good if you're the Winter Dogs. Your backline is now very, very strong. You've got lots and lots of knockups to pull off of between the Nike, the Awilish, the Tiamat, Cerberus Ultimate, though I don't know why you'd want to Gravity Surge them, I guess to get them further. And then you've got all these leaps on the other side that you can really pay attention to. So I think that overall, Kirmi's in a good spot to carry this game, but that's who I'm going to be looking at more than anyone else, because I thought the Gilgamesh was definitely not up to par for what I'm expecting from Kirmi now. And now this composition is centered around this Awilix and facilitating it and making sure it works. He's got to be able to deliver.
And for the third set in a row, we will see Tiamat finally make it through. This time, players actually looking at her, completely ignored in game number 1. So far, we're 2 for 2 on Tiamat's making it through and getting quadra kills. Can we see it here in our third set? Let's hop right into game number 2 and see where everything falls in place, whether it's going to be this Odin solo or is it going to be the Artio solo. I'm really curious where it's all going to fall in line. It will be Aquarius taking the Nike, so Gamma will be piling Cerberus, and Quig is going to be on the RTO support this time around. It's J-Mac and Aggro with Doug on the cameras to bring us game number 2 for Winter Dogs and Sleekness. Winter Dogs, they're at the top of the standings, but so far Sleekness have been showing that they maybe want to try and kind of put them down a peg.
Yeah, I think that Sleekness, I mean, you said this was the team that beat them, that gave them their only
Hoofs.
loss. Right?
Yeah,
they beat
the Hoofs.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, the Hoofs definitely one of those premier teams. So coming off a good week, maybe they've just figured it out. You know, they've figured out how they want to be playing the game, and it's really centered around that mid 3v3. I thought Oath, Nehu, and Quig definitely did a lot of the heavy lifting in game number 1, and they've given themselves picks to do the same here in game 2. I mean, Artio is in support, so not like we expected for the Odin support, but still pretty aggressive, still allows you to be in the thick of things early on. Nehu is going to be in there. Oath is going to be in there. I mean, the dive is there once again from Sleekness, but this time Benny Q's on a much harder god to kill on the Tiamat in comparison to Hell.
I just checked. It was the Herculean Hoofs who was the only team to so far defeat the Winter Dogs. That's where their only loss is.
Gotcha.
And the last time that these two faced off.
Well, transitive property tells you that then Sleekness should be able to beat them, right?
Should be able to. I'm not sure, actually. I'd have to double check and see where they fell in last time. Actually, the Winter Dogs 2-0'd the Hoofs in their last face-off. So it's a 1-1 split as far as, you know, the head-to-head matchup, though there was an extra 1 win there for Winter Dog, so that kind of does put them up just a little bit. But that's all towards the nitty-gritty. Sleekness are just kind of looking to play the nuisance factor up against them, really try and put them down, put themselves up more than anything in the standings, try and take that one spot above and maybe knock the Sturdy Artisans down to 4th seed.
Yeah, trying to make sure that they can get towards that top end. Probably need some help from the Average Joes if they want to make it to the 2nd seed. They would need the Average Joes to beat the Herculean Hoofs later on this weekend, which is certainly a tall task for a team in the Hoofs that has been very successful and the Average Joes that have not. But you know, that's why they play the games, J-Mac. They don't just decide it beforehand.
I mean, anything is possible. Especially with these bottom end teams in both regions, honestly. I mean, you have just as Six and Snake Hunters on the European side can always kind of play that wild card, and then you have the Joes and the Sharks. They can always play these kind of wild factors for really any of these teams. So you never know who's going to come out on top, because even the Sharks were able to take a game off of Winter Dogs just before. I'm trying to remember who the Average Joes got a win. Oh, they actually beat Sleekness. That was who the Average Joes win was. So Sleekness. So yeah, you never know what's going to happen in any of these regions.
No, you don't. But Sleekness looking for a red buff invade. Kiermi here in force, and good timing from the entirety of the Winter Dogs. Benny Q and Kiermi on time for their own red buff. So that will not be an invade. Oath was looking for a duo lane gank, but Wowie and Gamma played it well, knew that there was certainly some potential for the jungler to be there despite no wards. So they play it nice and slowly and make sure that this early game is quiet for Oath, which is exactly what they need after he had such a hot hand in game 1.
Yeah, I'm actually loving Oath going back to this, this set. He was playing it before the 8.9 buffs were coming through and performing really well. I believe he also was able to pick up a pentakill in one of his sets prior with this god. So now that he has been getting his buffs, we'll see even more coming from this player. Only time will tell in game number 2. Although 3 minutes in, we haven't really seen a whole lot of action. Oath is just now making his first rotation towards the lane and looking at Aquarius, but that is not the easiest target to take down. I think he recognizes with no kill potential and no farm on this right side, he'll make a swift trip back to the base.
Especially with Aquarius hitting level 5 and having that ultimate available. I mean, level 4, bait the jump, we could probably kill him. Level 5, no chance. Literally no chance we're able to get that kill. So we've seen some players, I mean, it was Relentless One in the last set who went Sunder to start off up against the Nike in lane to try and open up some kill potential on a gank. But Chronic can't really afford to go Sunder because he has to have beads because there's an Awilix on the other side. In fact, 5 sets of beads for Sleekness, all because of Kiermi on this Awilix and how many knockups they have to set him up. So already getting some value out of this pick by changing the way that Sleekness is picking up their relics.
And not just the pulls from Kiermi. I mean, there's so many ways to burn beads just on this team alone. Gamma's ultimate going to be the primary one. Aquarius can always bait some out with his leap or with that barrier. If you keep getting, pushed against that wall, you might want to fight back. Use those beads, and that'll open it up for Kiermi. Now that he's hit level 5, he can start making his rotations across. Oath, the first one back to get his Jotun's Wrath online. Now that he's level 5, maybe we see some action out of these junglers. But quiet so far here in game number 2. Only about 100 gold, give or take, passing between these teams, and that's really just the wave to wave.
You really can't afford to be super passive now if you're the Winter Dogs, because you've got to use the pressure on these beads at some point in order to actually kill the players that have the beads. I mean, you can't just let them off the hook. All right, they bought it. It looks like I'm not using a Will Exalt until 15 minutes into this game. Like, you've got to put some pressure, find a lane where you can guarantee some easy knockups and then actually force that ultimate out. I mean, Chronic would be the easy one that you could probably go to and force those beads on, but Nehu, Quig, and these are guys that should have to respect any sort of knockup coming their way.
I mean, you don't even have to use the ultimate. You could just try and bait the beads with that knockup. Hit them from behind, throw them up in the sky with that Jaguar, and now they kind of have to play that guessing game. Is he going to pull me? Do I need to use my beads? Well, I popped them. I hope he wasn't trying to pull me. Oh, he didn't pull. Well, I guess I'm in danger for the next couple of minutes while I wait for that to be back online. But Weird Dogs, Kiermi will try and make his first strike against Dude Man. He may not even need to worry about beads. Dude Man, he's going to eat a hefty chunk of health and his beads down. And Kiermi comes up with a nice big win, holding on to his ult.
Yeah, that's the early game of Willix damage, man. I mean, that's 3 points in Feather Step, instantly able to close that gap and put him down to a sliver of HP without using the ultimate. Still got the beads, as you highlighted. Kiermi will be back to the duo lane. I promise it. There's no reason to go anywhere else now because you've got a free kill waiting for you in that duo side.
Kirmi will take the left side Scorpions. That means we'll have Gold Fury spawning up in just a few moments. BennyQ will go ahead and take some of the mid Harpies and get some free experience of his own. And the Tiamat left to free farm is always a scary thing, especially with what we've seen in the last couple of sets where Tiamat has been left alone. Now, it wasn't towards the latter half of that game where we did see, you know, some pop off from the mid laner, but BennyQ, not known to just kind of sit around and sit on his hands, he usually wants to be kind of at the forefront of this action. We'll see where they decide to make their first real strike back towards the dual lane for Kirmi and Gamma. Maybe looking to find Dude Man because he doesn't have his beads. He'll get the fade away just in time, but the Ghastly Breath catches him out. An ultimate from Gamma will throw him right back in, and Kirmi will grab him with the Gravity Surge. Wowie credited with the kill. Kirmi leaps over, but he gets taken down. Nehu with a big kill of his own, trying to turn it back around, but up in the sky goes Wowie. Now Quig might be the one who has to run. 3 snipes are good. Wowie with the triple.
That's a way to start the game if you're the winner, dogs. Beautiful play coming from Gamma, and Oath on his way back, but missed the big part of the skewer, now in trouble.
He's going to get stunned, has to use his beads, but he manages to get 1 kill. Gamma leaps in, but doesn't find the connect, and Oath will make it out, making it a 3-for-2 trade. And off of the fact of Wowie getting a triple kill, that's a nice extra bounty for him.
Yeah, that's a good shutdown there for Oath, who was not involved with that fight. You might have thought he was, but it was Nehu with the transform that was doing the majority of the work there. Just a really good play by Quig, actually, on that jump in. Stuns Kirmi so that Dude Man Bro can use his leap right away, and that nearly saved his life.
It's a cage drop down in solo lane. Chronic trying to walk away, but Kirmi doesn't need that ultimate, or maybe he will. The shield is going to be enough health to make sure that Chronic gets out, and now Oath on his rotation. His ult is down, so he doesn't have an insane amount of kill pressure. Chronic is still sneaking around. Oath throws out the skewer, gets some damage against Kirmi. It's a feather step over in a barrier formation, shoves him against the wall, and that's just enough window for Kirmi to leap out. But now it's Oath in danger, stunned from Chronic, and the skewer to slow him down. He may have just made it out, but Aquarius wants to dive that tower and wants that kill, and he will get it.
Got it, but here comes Quig around the backside. Kirmi low, but double blinks should be enough to get Aqua and Kirmi out. Indeed it is. Quick reaction there from the right side of the map for the Winter Dogs, and a good bait on Oath, who just does not respect the damage from Kirmi quite yet. I mean, this Awilix doing exactly as advertised. Early pressure, getting around the map, forcing some outnumbered plays, and really just putting this damage to work.
Kirmi probably wishing he had gotten a couple of the kills that he's been a part of, but at least having the 3 assists and getting namely those 3 kills towards Wowie, who needed to be the one to pop off in last game, now has the opportunity to do so. Don't know or can't imagine that we'll see that Sovereignty come out for, I think that'd be a 4th game in a row, but knowing Wowie, I'm never one to kind of bet against him on these off picks.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, Nehu is playing the Morgan, so she's probably going to transform into a physical character the vast majority of the time. She's probably going to be transforming into Set for most of the game, or Nike for some survivability, potentially Odin as well. There's an argument for it. If you think Sovereignty on your ADC is good, then there's an argument to build it in this game.
What? I mean, the fact that we're even having this discussion is just blowing my mind that we're talking about, you know, building Sovereignty on your Hunter. But it's only because of Wowie, just like with Sino seeing an ESET ban as just a mark towards him. It's some of the finer things you get to see down here in the SCC.
Yeah, that's look, that ESET jungle though
it's a menace.
It was winning a lot of games, you know what I mean? Like that was the proof was in the pudding there. I think the jury's still out a little bit on the Sovereignty. Didn't net them a win last game, but I also don't think it's fair to call it why they lost. So we'll see what Wowie decides to do in this one, but he should really be dominating this lane now. I mean, this is a matchup that you can kind of dominate when you get ahead, as is. Plus, Dude Man Bro is going Devos. Wowie has Ikaval. Quig has to be here because otherwise, Dude Man Bro won't get any farm.
Aquarius is just poking out Chronic and continuously shoving him under the tier 1 tower. Chronic even going for a Pridwin for his second item, getting a little bit of CDR, 20%. That cooldown reduction plus that shield for whenever he immediately goes into the ultimate. Actually, I just learned the other day that if you pop Odin's shield while he has the Pridwin, it will immediately pop the Pridwin shield and then apply your own new ones. That's something fun fact that I learned. Dude Man Bro is gonna have to learn the hard way that beats are an essential thing. He'll use those to get out. BennyQ leaps away and is now being flanked by Oath on the backside. Kingslayer doing some damage, but Kirmi finds Dude Man up in the sky as one, but Oath, with all of those spawns, able to pick up 1 kill. Might be looking for Wowie as soon as he lands. Double kill goes the way of Oath, and a couple of spawns and a skewer make sure that Gamma has to leap away. Aquarius is trying to loop around on the backside, but Chronic will spot him, and then maybe just enough to help his team get out, or turn around and get another kill.
Yeah, that's a problem now for Aquarius, who could get rooted pretty easily, but got close enough to the tower to force Sleekness to abandon that chase. And that's the benefit of having a Morrigan and a Set on the same team. And if you don't have really good AoE in order to knock them down and keep them out of the fight, they're just going to deathball you. And Oath and Nehu, just no hesitation, right back in. Though this is a problem. The Dude Man Bro is now 0-3, only level 8. This is where the Winter Dogs should just continue to bully him over and over and over again. They should, I mean, they could wait for him out of base if they wanted to, and it would be a fine play.
Beads are down for another 90 seconds. Kirmi can time that just perfectly and get another pick if he so chooses. Instead, Kirmi, for now, will go back towards the base and start working on his next item. It is a Transcendence coming out of Oath, and then a Tier 1 Mace, so we will see a little bit, even more power going his way. But it'll take some time for Oath to stack up that Transcendence in the jungle. Not a ton of creeps available to him. He'll have a couple here and there at each of those camps, but he'll have to leech just a little bit off these waves to get some extra farm going towards his way and get some of those extra stacks online.
Yeah, it'd feel good whenever he finishes it, but even now it's a pretty big power spike for him, and Jotun's is so cost efficient that he's probably feeling good anyways.
Aquarius surrounded by two, but that barrier formation, being the menace and being the nuisance that it is, will consistently push them away. It's like shoving a kid in a locker constantly, but this time it's Aquarius who's stuck inside the locker that Chronic has placed down around him. A kill on the board for Sleekness, taking down the solo laner, but the Gold Fury is the target of the Winter Dogs, and they'll be able to pick that one up.
Yeah, good bait there by Aquarius for a little bit, but the problem was that no one was coming. Oath took a lot of damage in that play, but not enough to take him down, and Aqua does end up falling, but Winter Dogs do the typical Smite play, which is overextension on right, Gold Fury on the left. We take the gold and get a small win for ourselves over here. And Winter Dogs should really be looking for any fight they can take around this left side of the map, because Dude Man Bro is just so much less valuable than Wowie at where they are in the builds.
Hear me. He is waiting for Dude Man, just as you were talking about earlier. He'll go for it. Throws the Moonlit Charge, and a Dark Portal will be feather stepped right over, but that will be just enough for Dude Man Bro to get out. He gets to live, but again, he gets sent right back to the base. Kind of a welcome back. Why don't you go on home?
And what is he supposed to do in that instance? I mean, it's just impossible for Dude Man Bro to step up. And now he's lost his Tier 1, so he's got even less safety with which to stand. He's really just lucky that Wowie wasn't in range to snipe him, because it would have only taken one. I think Wowie maybe could have been in range if he had rolled forward right away, but was focused on clearing the wave and shoving it under tower.
Now, Dude Man, being the lowest level on the team, he'll get a little bit of that catch-up bonus on his experience. Not often that you get to see the Hunter get some of that extra farm for himself. That way he can try and get himself back in this game. Level 11 finally ticking over for Dude Man, but still doesn't have that second relic, so he's still missing out on some of those defenses like in Aegis. Tier 1 tower in mid will go the way of the Winter Dogs. Wowie thought about rotating over, but decided against it. He'll instead go back over towards that left side of the map. Dude Man and Quiggar, but Chronic is looking for a fight. He'll drop the cage. Everybody gets out. Benny Q low. Benny Q down. Nehu transforms into the Set one more time, and it's a double kill for the mid laner, and maybe more. And the Set on the other side of the map is getting some big kills. Oath picks up Gamma, but he's low. Wowie takes down Nehu. Aquarius is low. Oath is still on the hunt, waiting for that skewer to come up, but with that Sentinel of Zeus, that's enough for Aquarius to make it out.
Benny Q just again getting gunned down by Nehu on this transform. Kirmi's right there with him, and right to the Fire Giant they go. Wowie seems to have been called back. He was heading to the left-hand side, but now walking back in. Has a pretty good flank in, but I don't know if he can do enough.
It's all about the damage he can maybe do to the enemy players. Dude Man spots him out. It'll be a quick Aegis and a Beads from Wowie to try and walk away, but a teleport in from Oath, and the Skewer and Spawns will be enough damage to take him out. 5th kill on the board for the jungler of Sleekness. They pull away from the Fire Giant, but they pick up another kill.
Yeah, hey, I mean, Wowie kind of does his job there. His job is to die in that fight in order to make sure that they don't get the Fire Giant, but that doesn't feel great whenever you have such a lead. You want to keep the lead going. And he used both relics in order to try and extend that as long as he could. It doesn't feel great to be in that position. I think it's the right play from him, but just because it's the right play doesn't mean it feels particularly good to do.
I mean, the fact that Dude Man's been down 2.5 to 3 levels for the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, but the experience is only 1,700 in favor of Winter Dogs. Add a little bit more. Maybe a turnaround here. Oath is looking for Kierme, but he's going to get pulled back in with one ult picked up with another. Kierme trying to close the gap. Oath turns around and throws the skewer with the spawns. Gamma jumps over the wall, picks up a kill of his own to shut down Oath. But now he's in the middle of 2. He's got the backup of Benny Q. Quig will stun them both out, heal up, and maybe try and look for a path out.
I mean, Gamma can just walk wherever he pleases because he's 2 levels up on Dude Man Bro. No shot that Izanami's going to threaten him whatsoever. Nice play there in the mid lane from the Winter Dogs. They know that Nehu doesn't have relics. They were looking for Oath out of spawn potentially, but they just take what they can get that easy kill, and then Oath kind of walks right in to a Stygian Torment that Kierme can then pull him off of because he knew his beads were down. Good play by Oath to get the return kill, though.
Quig hunting for Wowie. No relics available to the Hunter. If he can get some body blocks or an ultimate to get him out, he'll throw out the snipes. Third one and second will not hit. It'll only be that first one. But that gets Wowie out of danger with both of his relics down. Still lose to the fight, so it's a win for the Winter Dogs. Maybe a little loss there for Wowie as he has to use his ultimate to escape.
Yeah, not the end of the world, though. I mean, he's got so much pressure in this lane. It's a level 13 Izanami. He doesn't really have to respect it. That Dark Portal did next to nothing to him anyways, so maybe he could have even stood his ground and tried to bait Sleekness in a little bit more because there was help coming from his side of the map. But either way, can't imagine there's going to be a whole lot of pressure onto him for at least a little bit because of the lack of fight potential from Sleekness on the left side of the map.
Benny Q coming back from base. He's got his Soul Gem fully online. He's got 2 tiers of his book looking towards Soul Reaver. Or on the opposite side of the way, it's Nehu with a Doomorb. Kind of been the common say of the Morrigan as of recent times. Even a Polynomicon has been seen in the build. Gamma will take a little bit of damage from Oath and Quig, but nothing to really deter him too much. He'll just be able to walk right back. Level 15 on this Cerberus. He's been getting a lot of farm so far.
A lot of farm. Same level as Wowie even. So it's not just that he's very ahead of Dude Man Bro. He's kind of just ahead from where most supports would be in general. But the experience gap is closing. I mean, Wowie just now hitting level 16 compared to Dude Man Bro, who just hit level 14. But remember, it's more experience to level up each time. So if they keep at this pace, theoretically, Dude Man Bro should be able to close the gap eventually.
Looked like it was going to be a Gold Fury for Sleekness, but they'll immediately pull away. Gamma and Aquarius will try and fight over these mid-harpies, but they'll lose that battle. Aquarius will lose some health. And under half mana, Winter Dogs maybe heading over towards this left side. Dude Man Bro has to go back to base, maybe pick up that rage that he was able to pick up game number 1. Instead, he'll just at least grab his Aegis Amulet. So now that he... Wait, hold on. He went all this time and still didn't have his Aegis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was like level 11 for 15 years.
Yeah.
Because,
well, I know that, but like he's been like 12 and then 13 and then 14. So he went from 12 to 14 without going back for his Aegis. That is a risky man.
Well, it is, but it's so late to be hitting level 14 right now that you get so much XP from these waves that he got from 12 to 14 in just a few waves. It doesn't take very long. What the crazy thing is that he's in the same point in itemization as Wowie, which is truly criminal, and you'd expect Wowie to be further ahead, but that play by fire I think really slowed down his farm. He's been rotating to these fights a lot, and it's really cost him his own personal farm. Speaking of, I mean, look at this mid lane itemization difference. Nehu at 3 items, Benny Q at 4. Nehu hasn't even started his next item, so that's a pretty big itemization advantage now for the Winter Dogs that they can play around for Benny Q in particular, but maybe it ends up being enough of a difference that Wowie hasn't back to buy. Probably he has some gold in hand. Probably wants to go back to base. It's a tight line to try and walk. Do we try and leverage our ADC not being super far ahead in itemization, but our mid laner is, or do we buy time for our ADC to get ahead, but then their mid laner might start to catch up? It's a tough call to make.
Though it is the Morrigan, probably one of the only mages who is, even if her item build is behind, if whoever she's transforming into has some decent items, yeah,
True.
We can go ahead and leech off those, especially if she's going to be transforming into Oath time and time again, having a double set, and we already know how far up Oath is in his build and how much damage he can do, so maybe not too worried about it, though. Being a full item down for base form Morrigan, not the best feeling.
No, I mean, anytime you're down a full item as a backliner, you're not going to be loving it, but it's not the end of the world on Morrigan. I think that's a good point.
Chronic he'll be at the front line against Aquarius and Gamma. Benny will put some poke at him and throw out the Minotaur to try and push him back and deal some extra damage. Nehu just waiting to see if maybe it's because he's holding on to some extra golden hand there. Maybe that's holding him off from getting some full items, or maybe he just hasn't had a chance to go back. He's sitting on only about 1,300 gold, so he'll only have enough for maybe a tier 2 of an item if he decides to go back. So yeah, he is about a full tier and a half or so of an item down comparatively to Benny Q, but at least hitting level 17. Benny Q, level 19 on this Tiamat, almost hit that level 20 stride.
Yeah, Aqua's got a ton of golden hand too. He's got nearly 3K, so you know that he wants to go and spend. Wowie's got nearly 2,000 gold. He's not going to get a full item, but certainly some type of advantage. Does not surprise me that despite the slight advantages in mid, or the pretty big advantage in mid, that because of the slight disadvantages elsewhere and how much golden hand the Winter Dogs had, that they're trying to play it a little bit slower right now.
2,000 gold in their advantage for the Winter Dogs. Primal Fury is up, and it's been sitting there for a long time, but neither team really seemed like they're super interested in going for this objective, mostly just looking for that extra farm, especially players like Dude Man, who have been the primary target. Last game, Benny Q was the target of everybody on Sleekness. This time it's kind of Dude Man, especially for Kirmi. He's been able to pull beads and just kind of be, more than anything, just a general bully in this duo lane, making sure that Dude Man does not get to have a fun time in this game.
And he hasn't, I promise. He's bottom of the player damage charts, has been forced back to base from between his tier 1 and tier 2. It hasn't been great.
Dark Portal used there. Kirmi doesn't get caught by it, so that's a big ultimate off the board for Sleekness, and you can see Wowie and Kirmi kind of just jumping away for joy as they recognize that they take that ultimate offline.
Hasn't been super impactful anyways, but you'd like to have the chance for it to be impactful at the very least. Was trying to look for a pick, just didn't land.
Gamma is going to get his link stopped. Quig will go in, diving for Kirmi. Won't be able to get the rune, so it'll just be a cripple against Wowie, stunning him out. Chronic looking to move forward. He'll at least get one, but Nehu picks off Kirmi in the back line and still looking to go even further forward. Chronic diving in, but it's going to be a second Ode in the cage. Catches Benny Q and Gamma stuck inside, and a bird bomb in deals some good damage to Benny, but he's still living through out of the ages. We'll hold him off for a little while, but not for much longer. Nehu picks him off, and now Aquarius being dealt with by Oath just alone. This jungler is bullying the solo laner. Both frontliners of Winter Dogs pushed back.
Man, I was so confused as to the initiation target there for Sleekness. They blink and they look for Kirmi, and I was like, I'm surprised. I mean, Benny Q is really far ahead on this Tiamat. Wowie's been causing us problems. Why do we go in on the Awilix in particular? But they force the jump, and then Nehu is just in perfect position to capitalize instantly. Kirmi has just been unable to find these late game entrances into these fights, not just on the Awilix, but on the Gilgamesh as well. And Oath is just keeping Aquarius busy the entire time. Really smart play there from Sleekness.
Immediately going over towards the Fire Giant. Everybody had a chance to go back. Nehu will stand at the front and see if he can spot anybody, but no one is there in time. Sleekness off of 2 picks on that left side of the map. They'll be able to net themselves a Fire Giant and a Pyromancer off the tail end of it. So Sleekness, who had been down pretty much the entirety of the game, finally find their first lead. Not very much, only less than 1,000 gold, but at least closing up that disparity in the experience, closing up that disparity in the gold, and can now start looking to surge up this right side.
Yeah, so last time they got this Fire Giant in Game 1, they did not do a great job of pushing that lead and utilizing this Fire Giant. They wasted a little bit too much time. Love this pacing from them. Don't hesitate. No reason to wait around. Let's get in there right away and start to take these towers, because this Fire Giant shouldn't end the game unless something goes horribly wrong for the Winter Dogs. This should be in the name of trying to just get enough of a lead that their next Fire Giant is a foregone conclusion.
Gamma leaps in. It's just Chronic. He'll get the stun and an ultimate. Will only pull Chronic in. Thought maybe he was grabbing somebody else with it. Instead, Chronic will get pulled back in by Kirmi's ultimate. That's 2 ults now down just to try and stop this Odin. The cage comes out from Nehu, buying a little bit of time for his solo laner. He'll hold out the spear and throw it right back in Gamma to stop him. And that's 1 ult for 2. And Chronic able to walk out.
Oath was able to get the mid-tier 2 during that chase, so not a ton gained from Sleekness, but at least a little bit. And certainly the Winter Dogs, that play to me, if I'm on Sleekness, I'm like, oh, they're desperate, huh? Like, they're using that much to try and get an Odin who's full HP, still has everything up. It definitely reeks of a bit of desperation there from the Winter Dogs. maybe that reality check of, hey, we're not killing this dude anytime soon is enough to make them rethink their strategy going into these team fights. I can't imagine that would have been their strategy. They were looking for just an outright pick, but I don't even think that's super viable up against the Odin.
Just a little too tanky, and now able to group up on the left side of the map with the tier 2 and mid taken by Oath. That adds a little bit more gold to Sleekness's pocket, trying to accelerate their build. It's a Polynomicon online for Nehu, so he'll have a little bit more of that assassin-esque style of play. If he catches one of those carries, you can pretty much say goodbye to their health bar, especially if they get that stun Dark Omen combo, or if you can get them with the Dark Omen and then stun them right after. Go for that instant big burst, get that basic attack after, take them down. But for now, it's Sleekness grouping up on the left-hand side of the map, and you will see a tier 2 defense out of Winter Dogs.
Still, same problem though for Sleekness, isn't it? I mean, they're just playing very, very slowly around this Fire Giant. They didn't push up right wave at all, thanks to Bennyq's minions. It's actually being pushed onto the Winter Dogs, well, away from the Winter Dogs side and towards Sleekness's tier 2. That tier 2 could potentially fall from how many minions are coming.
Chronic will tank it up. Quig will dive in, and they're looking for a pick against just Gamma. The cripple field is enough to hold him in place, and a second ring drops just to try and lock him in, but they're not doing enough damage to Gamma. Instead, all damage is being dealt back towards Dude Man. Aquarius goes in with the ultimate. Gamma goes in with his, but not going to pull anybody back. Chronic is stuck under the tier 2 tower, knocked up, stunned out, and Wowie takes him down.
Oath?
A big stun out, and Oath is looking for the end of the game. Our Sleekness doing it to him again. One minion wave in, Titan down to half health, and Sleekness are just trying to hold them off as long as possible. Oath does it just the same as Dude Man in game number 1 and ends the game in 26.5 minutes.
Wow, what a play from Oath, who's been dominating all game. He ends the game with top player damage, and he wasn't in the last 2 fights because he backdoored mid tier 2, and then he backdoors mid Phoenix and goes, okay, if you guys aren't going to defend it, I'll just take the Titan. Good map awareness, good fight identification from Oath, knowing that he doesn't need to be there. He could just go straight towards the Titan. Winter Dog lost track of the valuables there for a bit.
Yeah, Sleekness comes up with another sneaky 2-0 victory, taking down another top team. We're going to take it to a break, and we'll come back to close out the set, break down that game, and then get you set up for tomorrow.
Today I have decided is going to be the day. Today is the day I'll chase all my fears away. I'm gonna walk up to her and get down on one knee and say, my sweetest darling, will you merengue me? Darling, merengue me. We were always meant to dance as easy as ABC. We'll be making sweet romance. Darling, merengue me. To my heart you found the key. My life will be a river of tears if you don't merengue me.
Well, Sleekness do it again. Another top team that they go up against and another top team that they topple in 2-0 fashion. Last week it was the Herculean Hooves. Today it's the Winter Dogs that they're able to stop off a play of Oath saying, all right, you guys got the fight left? Yeah, cool. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and push up that mid lane. And do so he did, able to win the game just shy of 27 minutes. Jim Aggro here one more time to close out the day, kind of round things out here for the SCC. But just a smart play by Oath over anything else.
Oath played great all day. I mean, Susano was fantastic for him in game one. Thought that he picked his fights very well, was in and out just like you want to be on Susano. On set, it was all in all the time, exactly like you want to be on set, was really, really key there. That pick, obviously very good for Nehu as well to enable them to start getting a lead early on. But the way that Oath played today, definitely something to watch out for, man. He's playing lights out.
I mean, top of the player damage charts, and one thing that you allude to is the fact he wasn't even in the last two fights, and he was still top of the damage charts. That should give you an indication of where the focus of the Sleekness team was making sure that Oath got as far ahead as possible and make him do as much damage as they can early to try and alleviate some of the pressure that was kind of thrown towards Dude Man, because Dude Man didn't get to have fun this game. But Oath,
no.
Oh, that's a whole different story for Oath and Nate.
Yeah, Dude Man didn't get to have fun this set, I would say. Really, really struggled in this set overall. But hey, I mean, when the rest of the team's going to pick you up and make plays for you, then you don't really need to worry about it too much. Nehu, for me, it's really just this mid 3v3 core was better today for Sleekness than what the Winter Dogs were able to do. I thought that Wowie and Aqua played really well, and for the most part, I think outplayed their side lane counterparts, but Chronic played very well in this game, not to take anything away from him. Dude Man didn't get a chance to do anything this game, so, tough deck to be dealt for him. But Oath, Nehu, Quig looked really, really good here today up against the Winter Dogs.
Yeah, 6-2 for Oath, 6-3 for Nehu, 0-1 on Quig, but 9 assists to his name, and even Chronic at 1-1-6 to close out the game. A strong overall performance from Sleekness. Dude Man just didn't get to have fun. He was the one that Kirmi said all of his sides to. Kirmi said, this is the guy we want to kill on cooldown this game, and, well, they did for the first little half of the game, and then when it came to the latter half of the game, they were a little bit less successful in shutting Dude Man Bro out. He had already been able to catch up and was able to survive most of these fights.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't the problem. He wasn't really able to do anything in those fights, so it doesn't matter if you're able to shut him down or not. It was about shutting down Nehu, shutting down Oath. Those were the real targets he had to worry about, and obviously no one found Oath because Oath was at the Titan and no one else was.
With that one, Sleekness are able to get a win today. Let's take a look at the schedule to see what we still have ahead of us for the rest of the week in the SCC, because that was our last set of the day. We have just F6 and Snake Hunters, the first set tomorrow morning before the SPL. Then on Saturday, we get Herculean Hoofs and Average Joes. And then on Sunday, we'll get to open up the day with Goodnight Nick and Team Joystick, a match you'll definitely want to watch, as Goodnight Nick have been on the rise in that EU SCC in the last couple of weeks. They've really been making a big name for themselves, even taking down Elysium at one point. And let's take one final look at the standings for the NA side. As 2 of the 3 sets are done, we get to see where everybody falls into place. And the Winter Dogs at 7-2 means that the Herculean Hooves have an opportunity to potentially take that first seed away from them, though it is going to require that the Winter Dogs lose out on their final set, and the winner and Herculean Hoofs will have to win out.
Yeah, Average Joes really have a lot of fans rooting for them this week, because it's not just their fans, but that of Sleekness and, of course, the Sturdy Artisans as well. So a lot of teams really rooting for the Average Joes to have a big upset, find their second win of the phase, and send the winner, or the Herculean Hoofs rather, to 5-4 alongside those other 2 teams.
Well, SCC isn't the only Smite Esports action we have this weekend. It's only Thursday, and we've got 3 more days to go, and all 3 of those days will be action-packed with SPL. We'll kick off the weekend with the Tartarus Titans and Valhalla Valkyries and the Olympus Bolts and Camelot Kings. Be sure to be around for there, but if there's one day that you should tune into, it's definitely got to be Saturday, a double in-studio matchup. Olympus Bolts and the Atlantis Leviathans and the Jade Dragons and Solar Scarabs. Both of those here live in studio. And then we close the weekend with the Solar Scarabs and Valhalla Valkyries and the Camelot Kings Oni Warriors. I'm just going to put out front. I'm excited for Saturday, man.
Me too. 2 sets in studio, both of which are going to be very good, but in particular, Bolts Leviathans, I think that's our game of the week. Just an unbelievable set, I'm sure. Big week for the Bolts. I mean, I think they play the Leviathans and the Kings, right?
Yeah.
So pretty tough week for them. Let's see where they are in comparison to some of those other top teams.
Maybe we get to see the Dragon Slayers come back out of the Solar Scarabs. They've been looking pretty hot themselves.
True.
Either way, it's going to be a big weekend of Smite. You don't want to miss out, but that's all from us here in the studio on this Thursday, SCC. Be sure to tune in tomorrow with the SPL. Until then, make sure to stay hydrated, respect women, and always support your homies, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.